Your first time at the Met, the first time you went on stage, do you remember your reaction that day?
No, quite truthfully, I don't. No. I think I was so stupid when I came to New York City that I got through those first few years. My sister always... My sister, when she's annoyed with me, said, well, you were autistic as a child anyhow. Maybe I went through my first years in New York also being... Maybe I'm going through life like that, I don't know. But I don't remember anything about that period. I was so supported by my mother knowing I could do anything that she had brainwashed me. I mean, I didn't stop and think, what am I doing singing at the Metropolitan Opera? For as long as she lived. It was after she died that the rug was really pulled out from under my legs, and I thought, oh my God, who am I, this little Greek girl from uneducated origins, background? What am I doing here in this city where they're going to find me out? They're going to find out that I'm really bluffing and I don't know anything about opera or music or art or...
You're doing La Bohème now. It was the first thing you did, right? Am I right or wrong?
Yes, it was the first complete opera I ever sang was Bohème.
So we are completing a cycle.
Yes, we are tying the knot.
And it's being directed by Franco Zeffirelli.
I feel this hand too strong. Remember, she's dying. So she's made the effort, and then she cannot hold anymore. The other hand remains around his neck. He holds it. He holds it himself. But this one, having made the effort, you must drop it and leave it open like this, like that. It will give a feeling of desolation, the last glimpses of life. And also the aria you're singing is very funereal. It really boom, with the beat of a death beat. So, this is last glimpse.
No, let me do that. Let's do it again.
So.
Just again, please. Just the whole thing? Yeah. Okay.
Mimi dies of tuberculosis. You had tuberculosis.
As a child, I had tuberculosis.
Did it affect your lungs in any way?
It still affects my lungs, yes.
In my house, when I went home, I spoke Yiddish and then English at school. Did you speak Greek?
We spoke Greek at home, yes. Actually, my brother and sister, their very first language was Greek, and they learned English at school. I, because of my brother and sister, of course, already spoke both when I went to school.
Going back to the circumstance of your birth. Where was it specifically?
I was born, the place of birth was in a building the corner of Dundas Street and George Street. It was just above a Chinese laundry. I don't think it exists anymore in Toronto. 1938. Born on my parents' dining room table. Delivered by a drunken Irish doctor that my mother used to say when I was causing some kind of problems. She would say, "Ah, that doctor, he must have dropped you on your head." But I obviously don't have memories there. I have memories later. We moved to 314 Dundas Street. I have memories from there.
What kind of place was that? Is that also above a store?
It was, I remember steps going up, very sort of, what do you call it? They really went up, abruptly up. And at the top of those steps was a flat, and we lived in there. I have a lot of memories from there. I remember, for instance, that an ice truck, we all used to, and I was the youngest one, we all used to run when the ice truck would come. And the older of the mob of the children that lived in the neighborhood would climb up onto the truck and get little pieces of ice. No, I wasn't the youngest, as a matter of fact. There was one child younger than me, and she had wandered out behind the truck, and the truck backed up to drive away, and the child was killed. And I remember that very specifically because, strange how children think. We were not allowed, I was not allowed to go out and play anymore, and I had to stand on the other side of the glass door and look out onto Dundas Street. And I wasn't allowed to go out and play on the street anymore. I had to stay on the inside of the beginning of that staircase that went up and down. There was like a little area on the inside of the door, and the door had a glass. It was like part of it was glass, and I could just barely see above the glass there.
Was it a kind of Greek area, or were you the only Greeks there?
It was an immigrant area. It was a poor area. It was, at that time, one didn't know they were poor. You know, you lived and you laughed and you cried and you did whatever any other children did.
You didn't know you were poor?
Right. No, I think I was too young to know very much then.
Reading about your mother, she seemed to be a woman of terrific fullness. Can you talk a little bit about your mother? How would you describe her?
May I talk about my father first?
Yeah. How about your father, who is very complex, I think?
All right. I think whatever talent I might have, I get from my father. He left Crete. He didn't have a pair of shoes at that time. He used to go barefoot up and down the hills of Crete. And to leave Crete, to go away and find a better life, he took his dead brother's boots, army boots, wore those. X number of sizes too big. Well, he came from a very, very little village that today still doesn't have electricity. And to get there, it's very steep. The only way to get there is to get on a donkey, and you have to keep going sideways on that donkey to get up to the top. And it's called Stratasphere, which means Stratasphere. He had very, very little education, almost none, what we would today call none. Arrived barely with clothes on his back, and was suddenly thrown into a a whole different world at a very young age. He was in his teens.